everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Chloe, and today we're going to be doing another read aloud. This is part 2 of reading Judy, Moody, and Stink, The Big Bad Blackout by Megan McDonald, illustrated by Peter H. Reynolds. Let's get started. So, we were on the part of Grandma Lou when she was younger. She had a chicken named Susie Q. And she laid a blue egg one day. So let's keep reading. Like and subscribe. Here we go. This is going to be a long video. Let's get started. Whoa, like an Easter egg? Stink asked. Yes, sirree. That bird laid the most beautiful sky blue egg you have ever set eyes on. I knew right then and there Susie Q would win me a prize at the county fair. Then it happened. One warm fall day, October 1954. I think it was, wind started whipping around the farm like crazy, blowing over anything that wasn't nailed down. We heard on the radio that Hurricane Annabelle was headed our way. Boy, that was some storm. Rained like a river. 120-mile-an-hour winds took the roof right off our tool shed. Whoa. Grandma Lou snapped her fingers, just like that. At almost the exact same time that Grandma Lou snapped her fingers, the shutters slapped against the house. Stink jumped. Hurricanes are serious business, said Grandma Lou. Folks up in Haptown had reported gusts of 130 miles an hour. So you can imagine when Hurricane Annabelle blew in, I was worried about my chickens. Chickens didn't even like to get wet. Makes them madder than a wet hen, said Dad, laughing at his own joke. All the chickens scurried into the coop, except for one. Uh-oh, said Judy. Grandma Lou nodded. It was my Susie Q. I looked everywhere for her. By the time I was wet as a drowned rat, my dad made me go back inside the house. So what do you do? Judy asked. I pressed my nose to the window, my eyes glued on that chicken coop, hoping she'd come back. I was plenty angry with my dad for leaving Susie out there and not letting me go back outside. I'm sure I hardly said 3 words to him for a whole week. What happened? What happened? Stink asked. Did you ever find her? I went to bed, hardly slept a wink. Woke up the next morning and everything was blown to smithereens. Tree limbs had been tossed around like pickup sticks. The tool shed was just a pile of toothpicks. Mom held her breath. The chicken coop was gone. What do you mean gone? Judy asked. Gone, gone. Blown from here to Hula Baloo or Tinkabookto by Annabelle. And Susie Q? For days after Hurricane Annabelle blew out, I rode around in the back of my dad's truck, searching high and low for that chicken, calling for her, asking everybody we came across if they'd seen a blue-legged, black-tailed chicken with a crooked beak. Did you ever find her? Judy asked. Just then, I thought I'd never see Susie Q again. One day, out of the blue, I picked up the newspaper. Right there on the front page was a story about a girl a few towns over who had won first prize at the county fair for a blue egg. The paper said she'd found her prize egg layer in the hurricane. So they called out their blue-legged, black-tailed chicken Annabelle. I think Annabelle had to be my Susie Q. I could tell by her crooked beak. Not to mention, she got herself a first prize blue ribbon for laying the most beautiful blue egg. Did you ever get her back? Judy asked. Grandma Lou's face glowed copper in the firelight. She smiled. My daddy drove out there, and we met that girl and her family. And I'll be gobsmacked if that chicken didn't flap right up onto my shoulder as soon as she saw me. I got my Susie Q back. To this day, I still can't figure out how she ended up a whole 3 towns over. But that was the power of Hurricane Annabelle. The end, said Stink. That was a long story, and it wasn't even boring, said Judy. Animals' love is unconditional, you guys. Stink stabbed a marshmallow with his fork. Let's have more stories with s'mores, he chirped. Mom smiled at Dad over her glasses. Dad and I have a story about our wedding. It's the story of how another woman came between us, Dad teased. Stink's eyes got big. You mean Mom wasn't Mom? And you almost weren't born, Judy teased. Her name was Stacy, said Dad. Yeah, said Stink. Hurricane Stacy, Mom cried. Hurricane Cupid, said Grandma Lou. She winked. Tell us, said Stink. For the record, an outdoor wedding was your mother's idea, Dad began. The day started out warm and sunny, said Mom. Then all of a sudden, Dad said, about an hour before the wedding was supposed to begin, the temperature dropped and the wind kicked up. The whole sky went dark. Those dark clouds were like a sign, said Mom. Stink shuddered as wind howled down the chimney. A prickle went up Judy's back. Trees were bending sideways, and all the stairs on the lawn blew over. Dad told them. By that time, about 60 or 70 guests had already arrived. Then the sky opened up, said Mom. Rain like you've never seen. And I was in my dress. I ran for shelter under the big white tent, where the tables and food were set for the reception. Did Dad see you? Judy asked. That's bad. That's way bad luck. I'll say, I thought the whole wedding was off, said Mom, but Dad suggested we have the wedding under the tent too. Mom and Grandpa Jack rushed to town to get emergency supplies like flashlights and batteries in case the power went out. Bad idea, said Mom, shaking his head. Said Dad, shaking his head. The roads were flooding, said Grandma Lou. There were drowned power lines, fallen trees. It was dangerous to be driving around in that. So what happened? Asked Stink. Crash, said Mom slapped her hands together like a thunderclap. The rain came down even harder and blew in sideways under the tent. Me and Grandma Lou and my parents and the guests started moving the food from the tent into the old barn. We had saved most of it when, kerplunk, down came the whole tent. Whoa, said Judy. By that time I was drenched, said Mom, and my dress was ruined. I looked around the barn for something dry to wear. All I could find was a trunk with some old clothes. No, not clothes, costumes in it. Did you dress up like a witch? Stink asked. Or Wonder Woman? Judy asked. Annie Oakley, said Mom. Dad cracked up. That's Cuckoo Berry, Stink asked. Stink said. That's still not the worst part, said Mom. What's the worst part? Asked Judy. How can it get any worse? Asked Stink. No, Dad, said Mom. Huh? Judy twisted a curl of hair. Stink tore out a paper nail. He did what? 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, said Mom. Still no Dad. Did you get scared to marry Mom and run away? Stink asked Dad. Of course not, said Dad. Did you think Dad had ditched you, Mom? Judy asked. It did cross my mind, said Mom. She twirled her wedding ring back and forth, but mostly I was scared to death that something bad had happened to him. The power had gone out too. Of course, said Grandma Lou. No lights, no microphone, no music. So the problem was their mom couldn't find their dad. So they couldn't find Mr. Moody. No wedding, said Mom. We were all holed up in the barn just waiting, listening to the storm rage when blambo! Off blew the barn doors. I remember seeing cocktail shrimp bobbing and floating like rubber duckies in a puddle. Dad tossed another log on the fire. Sparks danced up the chimney. Stink was practically jumping out of his skin. Dad, where were you? Dad just smiled. Let Mom tell it. Mom went on. I was sure the whole barn was going to blow down like a house of cards. I mean, everything else had gone kapaloo, right? That's when, above the howling wind, I heard a siren. It grew closer and closer. Finally, a fire engine came screaming up the drive. My heart jumped into my throat. I was sure that they were going to tell us that something bad had happened to Dad and Grandpa Jack. The room got quiet, except for the spitting fire. From a loudspeaker on the fire truck came a voice like Darth Vader. The voice said, Kate Edison, will you marry me? Mom's eyes teared up. I raced out into the pouring rain in my Annie Oakley costume. There was your father, leaning off the fire engine, wearing a giant yellow slicker, a Little Mermaid life preserver, and a funny grin. You had to mention the life preserver, didn't you? Dad said, chuckling. I burst out crying. I was never so happy to see your dad. Grandpa and I had driven the car through some deep water in the road, and the engine conked out, Dad explained. We pushed the car to higher ground and tried forever the car to get it started. Luckily, some firefighters stopped to help. When I said it was my wedding day, well, the rest is history. Grandma Lou clapped her hands. Now you kids know the story of how Annie Oakley married a fireman. Stink and Judy laughed. Aw, such a good picture. Look at their mom running to their da-da-da. So you got married and had us and lived happily ever after? Said Stink. And we had cake, said Dad. Lots and lots of cake, said Mom. It was about the only thing that didn't get ruined that day. And the fire truck played its radio over the loudspeaker so Dad and I could have our first dance together. The Temptations. Oh no. Something dropped. I wish it would rain, Mom and Dad started singing. That's a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad story, said Judy. But the ending makes it great, so great. Epic, said Stink. Hey, wait, did you say Edison? That's my middle name. I thought it was Earwig, said Judy. Hardy har har, Stink made a face at Judy. Too bad the real Thomas Edison didn't come to your wedding. Excuse me. He could have invented the light bulb all over again and saved the whole entire wedding. Judy snorted. From a whirlwind romance to a hurricane wedding, said Grandma Lou. Stink held out a couch pillow. Kate, will you marry me? He made smooching sounds. Judy hung a pillowcase from her head for a vial and pretended she was in a wedding march. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da, she sang. I think they're trying to, act like they're getting married or something. We still have a piece of that wedding cake, said Mom, in the freezer. They still have the cake. I'm pretty sure it's expired already. That's the iceberg in the back of the freezer? Judy asked. What are we waiting for? Stink asked. Let's eat it. We're saving it for a special occasion, said Dad. But this is an emergency, said Stink. What could be more special than that? Okay, they're gonna be eating cake. That is an iceberg. Okay. My turn, said Judy. I know a hurricane story. It's called Mr. Drybones, but it's a little scary, she peered at Stink. Why are you looking at me? Stink asked. I'm not scared. He scooched closer to Grandma Lou. She put an arm around him. Once there was a hurricane named Elmer that came to Frog Neck Lake, Virginia. The winds blew. Whoa. And all the lights went out. I'm trying to make it sound scary, okay? Work with me. Just like us, said Stink. Down a dark, dark street called Croker Road, there was a dark, dark house. Stink leaned in closer. That's our house. And the dark, dark house had a dark, dark door. Behind the dark, dark door was a dark, dark hall. And the dark, dark hall, oh my God, that's a tongue twister. And the dark, dark hall were some dark, dark stairs. Stink shivered. They twisted the end of a blanket into a tornado of a knot. At the top of the dark, dark stairs was an even darker hall. At the end of that dark, dark hall was an even darker door. Before Judy could say the next line for her story, a door slammed. For real. Everybody jumped. It's just the wind, said Dad. Mouse hid under the couch. Behind the dark, dark door, Judy went on, were dark, dark steps that went up to a dark, dark attic. And the dark, dark attic was a dark, dark closet. And the dark, dark closet was a dark, dark box. What's in the box? Stink asked, his eyes wide. From the dark, dark box came a dark, dark rattling sound like the sound of dry bones. And when the dark, dark box was opened, out came... Stink covered his eyes with his hands. Mr. Drybones? He squeaked. No, a pink jelly bean, Judy squealed. Everybody laughed. That's a good one, said Dad. You had me a little scared for a minute. I wasn't scared, said Stink. Sure, Stink, said Judy. Dad put one last log on the fire. Grandma Lou pulled a blanket up around Stink's shoulder. My turn, said Stink. Let's hear your story, Stink, said Mom. Then bedtime. It's almost 10. Abe Lincoln was in bed every night by 9 o'clock, she added slyly. For real? Stink asked. It has to be a hurricane story, Judy told him. Okay, it's a hurricane story, said Stink, but it's also an Abe Lincoln story. Oh, brother, said Judy. Did they have hurricanes back then? Yeah, and Christopher Columbus had one, said Stink. It's true, said Dad. One of his voyages to the New World. And don't forget, Ben Franklin, said Mom. He went out to study in Eclipse one night and ended up studying a hurricane. Sorry I asked, said Judy. I thought it was a day off from school, that's all. Yeah, whenever it's a day off from school, I don't like to hear any teaching because, I'm tired of school. So, is everybody ready or not? Asked Stink. Ready, Freddie, said Judy. Once upon a time, Abe Lincoln sat on his log cabin reading a book. Don't tell me. By candlelight, said Judy. By candlelight, there was a monster storm outside. We're talking super bad, like it could have been Hurricane Hercules. Abe rocked back and forth in his rocking chair, reading when... Bring! Judy jumped. The phone rang, said Stink. Wait, said Judy. Abe Lincoln had a phone? Grandma Lou put her finger to her lips. Let's let Stink have his turn. Stink pretended to pick up a phone. Hello? Abe said. A spooky voice on the other end said, The Viper is coming, the Viper is coming, the Viper just down the road. Who is the Viper? And why are they coming? Abe asked. Click, the phone went dead. Abe went back to reading when he hadn't even read 2 sentences when bring! The telephone rang again. Hello? Abe said all shaky like. The Viper is coming. The Viper is coming for you. The Viper is on your street. Presidents are always super brave, but even tall Abe was a little scared now. Who is the Viper? And why are they coming for me? Click, the phone went dead again. Abe was super scared now. He rocked back and forth in his rocking chair when, bring! The phone rang again. Not again, said Judy. Not again, said Abe. He picked up the phone. Hello? The Viper is coming. The Viper is coming. The Viper is almost at your door. Now Abe was shaking in his slippers. He was so scared. But before he could ask, who is the Viper? One more time, he heard a loud boom, boom, boom. It wasn't a toad pea tent that landed on his roof. It wasn't a spaceship or a boat or a bionic squirrel either. It was a knock. On his door, Stink paused. He looked right at Judy in a spooky voice. He asked, should Abe answer the door? Yes, yelled Judy. No, wait, no, of course not. But if Abe wanted to be president someday, he had to be brave. So he got up and opened the door. A crack, creak. Abe peeked out the door. There was on his doorstep was a short, funny-looking man with a bucket in one hand and a sponge in the other. SpongeBob? Judy whispered. Stink's eyes grew wide. He shook his head no. He threw out his hands and shouted, I am the Viper! Everybody jumped. Mouse leaped from under the couch into Judy's arms. Judy let out a squeal. Who are you? Said Abe. And what do you want with me? I told you, I am the Viper. The window Viper. I came to vipe your windows. Okay, so the Viper's not really scary. It's just an innocent man who's really short. No offense. The next morning, when Judy came downstairs, Stink was sprawled on the floor, writing in a notebook with his 5-in-1 flashlight pen. What are you doing? Judy asked. Writing a novel, said Stink, with my hurricane pen. It has a built-in flashlight. The power's still out. My book's going to be 39 pages long. Want to hear? Sure, said Judy. She sat down. So, it's the next morning and the power's still out. She closed her eyes and got ready to listen with her best third-grade listening ears that she usually saved for school days. Stink began. It was a dark and stormy night. Silence. More silence. Judy opened one eye. She opened the other eye. Go on, said Judy. I'm listening. That's all I have so far, said Stink. Only 38 and 3/4 more pages to go, said Stink. 38 and a half, said Stink. If I write really big. Where's Grandma Lou? Everybody's out in the car, said Stink, listening to the radio. Mom and Dad came back in. No school again today, said Mom. Yes! Stink pumped his arm in the air. Good news, said Dad. They downgraded the storm from Category 3 to Category 2. Hurricane Elmer, Day 2. Grandma Lou taught Judy how to knit with just her fingers. She showed Stink how to mummy wrap his own hands. They had stare-down contests. They had thumb wrestling contest. Then Grandma Lou pulled out her fortune-telling game. You bought the I'm so sorry, I don't know how to pronounce this. Ouija board? I think, said Judy. I know that. What's a Ouija board? I know what it is, but it's hard to explain, you guys. Oh, yeah, here it is. This is what it looks like. So basically you put your hand and it just moves somewhere, randomly. What's a Ouija board? Asked Stink. It's not for scaredy cats, said Judy. It's for talking to ghosts and for telling fortunes. And it glows in the dark, said Grandma Lou. You kids go ahead and play while I finish my knitting. So how does it work? Asked Stink, leaning in to see. We rest our fingers on the pointer lightly and ask a question. Then it spells out the answer, or it says yes, no, or goodbye. Judy and Stink placed his fingertips on the pointer. Me first, said Stink. What is Judy's middle name? The pointers spelled out letters one by one. R-A-T-F-A-C-E. Rat face? No fair, Stink. You made it say that, said Judy. Did not. Okay, said Judy. My turn. What is Stink's middle name? P. Wrong. My middle name starts with an E. The pointer moved to the letter U. P-U, said Judy. P-U, what? Said Stink. That's it. P-U is your middle name. Stinker. It is not, said Stink. You made it spell that. Judy shrugged. I have a question for real. Will we have school tomorrow? The pointer zoomed up to the right-hand corner of the board, where the word no was printed. No, said Judy. Yay, said Stink. Stink quit moving it. I'm not. Guess what, kids, said Mom, coming into the room. No school tomorrow either. I just got a robo call on my cell phone from the superintendent's office. Judy and Stink locked eyes. Judy got goosebumps. Stink shivered. We already know, said Stink. A ghost told us. Okay, so I guess the board is accurate. The ghost of Ouija, said Judy. Any chance your ghost could tell us when the power's coming back on? Mom asked, raising an eyebrow. Okay, said Judy, but Stink, you can't make it move this time. I won't. Cross my heart and split in my eye. Grandma Lou, said Judy, will you watch to make sure Stink doesn't move the pointer? Okay, said Grandma Lou, but make it quick. It's almost time for my nap. Ouija, said Stink, is there a ghost in Judy's room? Just then, Mouse pounced on the board and the pointer slid down to goodbye. That doesn't count, said Stink. Mouse moved it. Okay, try again. Is there a ghost in Judy's room? Stink asked. The pointer moved toward the number 2. Then the pointer to the letter M. And after that, it made a beeline for the word yes. I didn't move it, said Stink. Honest. Me either. Judy's eyes grew wide. Grandma Lou, I wouldn't take a nap if I were you. Ouija says there's a ghost in my room, and you're sleeping in there. I'm not afraid of a silly old ghost, said Grandma Lou. You're not? Judy asked. Nope. I grew up in an old house with a ghost. You did? Stink asked. Sure. His name was Bob. He liked pretzels. Bob? Ghosts don't have the name Bob, said Judy. Why not? What name do you think they have? Casper? I don't know. Oh God, how do you say this? Ichabod or Bloody Mary or something. Or Abe Lincoln, said Stink. Some people think his ghost is in the White House, but ghosts aren't real. And they definitely don't eat pretzels. How do you know if you've never seen one, said Grandma Lou, with a twinkle in her eye. If Santa likes cookies, why can't Bob like pretzels? Stink scratched his head. Stink scratched his elbow. Suddenly, Stink felt itchy and scratchy all over. Yep, one-legged Bob. We'd hear him clomping around the attic at night, dancing on one leg. Could hardly sleep a wink some nights. You're just saying that, Stink said to Grandma Lou. Am I? Did Bob ever go bowling up there? Judy asked. Also, guys, this is my new light here. This is part 2, but as I'm filming this clip, it's the next day. So this is my new light. It says #cutie with the little A symbol, Chloe. It changes colors. I just wanted to show you guys that. This is my new setup now. But yeah. Stink shook off a shiver. Dad, he called to the next room. Grandma Lou's teasing us with scares about ghosts. Dad poked his head into the room. Grandma Lou sure is a good storyteller, isn't she, kids? Now, I'm going to warm up some milk over the fire and go upstairs to take my nap, said Grandma Lou. Naps, ghosts, pretzels, Judy Moody had an idea. Rare. Judy, hurry up, whispered her idea to Stink. They raced upstairs. Stink, go get a pair of Dad's shoes and your hurricane pen and some pretzels. Hurry before Grandma Lou comes up to take her nap. Stink didn't even mind Judy bossing him. Pranking Grandma Lou was going to be even better than the fake hand in the toilet joke. Judy got the Persicope from her room, the one she had made coffee. Wait, what? The one she had made from coffee cans, oatmeal containers, and tissue boxes, and leaned it up against the wall in the hall so it would be ready. Next, she tied a piece of thread to a single pretzel and put it with other pretzels on a plate on the nightstand. She flicked the 5-in-1 pen to make sure it worked. Judy Moody, with Stink's help, was going to ghost Grandma Lou good. Hey, how about sound effects? Stink said, coming back with Dad's boots. I have a bunch on the computer. Stink, Blackout, remember? We'll have to make our own sound effects. So go get one of Mom's fancy water glasses, but don't let her see you take it. Judy and Stink rigged up the greatest ghost trick ever. Then they hid in Stink's room and waited. Stink could hear Judy breathing. It sounded a little like a ghost. A chill crept across his back. I think I hear her, said Stink. Shh, here she comes. Grandma Lou went to Judy's room and closed the door. Judy and Stink counted to 100. Twice. Ghost time, Judy whispered. She motioned Stink to follow her into the hallway. Stink made one-legged clomping sounds outside Judy's room with the boot of Dad's. Judy scratched on the wall and tapped on the bedroom door. No answer. Grandma Lou must have fallen asleep. I don't think she heard our ghost, Judy whispered. Stink mimed opening the door a little. Judy turned the knob and slowly opened the door a crack. Stink made creaky door sounds with his best squeaky door voice, as if a ghost were entering the room. Judy pushed her periscope through the crack. She spied on Grandma Lou. Milo, Candy Cane, did you hear something? They heard Grandma Lou ask. No, I guess it was just my imagination. Cue the ghost, whispered Judy. Stink wet his finger with spit, and rubbed it around the rim of the fancy water glass. Wee woo! The glass made ghosty, goosebumpy sounds. Even Judy got the shivers. Did you hear that? They heard Grandma Lou ask the animals. No. Okay, I guess I'll go back to sleep. Cue the pretzel, Judy whispered. Stink oh so carefully pulled on the end of the string. Crash! The other plate of pretzels fell to the floor, except for one. One pretzel walked across the floor and out the door. A walking pretzel? Now that's strange, they heard Grandma Lou say. Unless it's no, couldn't be. She thinks it's a ghost, possibly? And for now, for the icing on the cake, thought Judy. Stink handed her his flashlight pen. Judy turned on the pointer. A small green beam of light shot out like a laser. Through the open crack in the door, Judy slowly spelled out 3 letters on the wall of her room for Grandma Lou to see. B-O-B. Ghost! They heard Grandma Lou screech. Ghost in the house! Bob is back! Through the periscope, Judy saw Grandma Lou jump in bed. Quick, hide the stuff! She yelled to Stink. Stink tossed the ghost supplies into his room. Judy tried to hide the periscope behind her back. Grandma Lou grabbed Milo and... She's holding a snake! And candy cane and dashed out into the hall, almost crashing into Judy and Stink. Grandma Lou, said Judy, you look like you just saw a ghost. Ghost, Grandma Lou pointed toward Judy's room. It's Bob. He's back. Ghost? There's no such thing as ghosts, said Stink. Pretzels don't just Pretzels don't just up and walk by themselves, hissed Grandma Lou. I told you ghosts love pretzels. Judy snickered. Stink bit his cheeks to keep from laughing. Grandma Lou narrowed her eyes. Wait, just a cotton candy eaten second. I see a ghost, and why aren't you too scared? You're up to something, aren't you? Judy shook her head. Stink tried to keep a straight face, but he couldn't hold it in for one more second. It was us, Stink cried. Chomp! Judy bit into a pretzel and grinned. The pretzel-eating ghost is Judy. And me, Stink cried. We pranked you. We ghost pranked you so good. Judy and Stink rolled on the ground laughing. That's not nice. Click, purr. Stink woke with a start. Something was different. Something was not right. Judy, he heard rubbing his ears. Did you hear sounds? Ghost, said a sleepy Judy. It's not a ghost. I hear humming and clicking. House sounds, Stink. Go back to sleep. Stink reached over and flipped a switch. The light blinked on, off. Hey, Judy said, squinting. Do you think Grandma Lou's pranking them now? Power's back on, said Stink. Oh. No more blackout! They padded into the hall. Mom and Dad were up too. We left some lights and things on when the power went out, said Mom. I'll check the downstairs, said Dad. You kids go back to bed. But I'm not sleepy now, said Stink. It's too exciting. It's the middle of the night, Stink, said Judy, yawning. Warm milk? Mom asked. Everybody piled downstairs. Mom heated milk, not on the fire. Judy read her book, not by candlelight. Stink flipped the light switch on, on, because he could. Yes, Stink, electricity is a wonderful thing, said Mom, but don't waste it. Think of all the stuff we did this week without electricity, said Judy. Are you kidding, said Stink. Lights and stuff are like the greatest invention ever. Thank you, Thomas Edison. Blink, 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 blink. Grandma Lou slept through all the excitement. When she came downstairs in the morning, it had stopped raining and the sky was clearing. Now, what I love most about the storm being over, she said. The Mad Muskrat's physics-based castle demolition game, said Stink. A warm bubble bath, said Mom. No more beans in a can, said Dad. It's after the storm clears, Grandma Lou nodded at the window. A watery sunshine through the clouds. Just look up at the sky. I bet you'll see a rainbow, Stink called. Double rainbow, Judy called. Judy, Stink, and Grandma Lou rushed outside. They blinked in the cloudy, bright tree branches and snapped twigs littered the lawn. The roof of the shed had peeled back like a cereal box top. The mailbox had turned into a twisty straw. Judy tilted her head to the sky. A double rainbow is way lucky. Luckier than a lucky penny. Make a wish, said Grandma Lou. I wish we could go out in the kayak, said Judy. Yeah, I wish we could go for a ride in Gert before Dad makes us clean up the yard, said Stink. Follow me, said Grandma Lou. Before you could say it was a dark and stormy night, Grandma Lou, Judy, and Stink had slipped into life vests and were paddling around a lake in the backyard. Ducks floated in puddles and frogs kicked up a chorus. I can't believe we're in a boat on a kayak. Look at the double rainbow in the shadows. Oh wow, this is not a real lake, but it's the lake that the storm had created. I love this picture, so nice. Lake in the middle of our backyard, said Stink. Pretend we're surfing the rapids on a river in the Grand Canyon. How's it feel? Asked Grandma Lou. Like I'm a tub toy. It's like we're floating on a river of chocolate milk, said Judy. The creek swelled up so high it flooded the backyard, said Grandma Lou. Stink pointed to his shoe floating past. Hey, isn't that my sneaker? And there's my soccer ball, said Judy. The pink and black one that's been up on the roof since last summer. We're lucky, said Grandma Lou. People lose cars, houses, pets in these storms. Pets? Oh, God. One year, the wind was so bad, my neighbor's playhouse ended up in a tree. A tree house, said Stink. I know the storm's over and we should be happy that it wasn't a lot worse, but I feel sadder than ABC gum on the bottom of the pool, Judy said. I feel bluer than a mutant frog, said Stink. Sorry to hear that, said Grandma Lou. Want to talk about it? It's over, said Stink. No more storm. No more blackout, said Judy. It was fun without electricity, but now there will never be another Hurricane Elmer, said Stink. That's not true. A hurricane can happen again. Back to school, said Judy. And homework, said Stink. And now you and Pugsy... I forgot about Pugsy. And now you and Pugsy'll be going home too, Grandma Lou, said Judy. Everybody will be back to watching TV and playing video games on the computer like we did before, said Stink. No more stories, no more s'mores. Tell you what, said Grandma Lou, you can come visit me anytime, and we'll have a great big blackout of our own. We'll turn out all the lights and cook over a fire and tell stories and eat beans straight out of a can. It'll be just like Earth Hour, said Judy. What's Earth Hour? Stink asked. It's when millions of hundreds of people all over the world turn out the lights on purpose at the same time for 1 hour, said Judy. To show that we can work together to save energy, said Grandma Lou. They can turn out the lights on Big Ben and Empire State Building and the Eiffel Tower. And, okay, Judy, I get it, said Stink. Dare to save the planet, Stink, said Judy. I will if you will, said Stink. He turned to Grandma Lou. But we don't have to wait for Earth Hour, do we? We can have our own Earth Hour, too, said Grandma Lou. Or Earth 2 hours, said Judy. Wow, that could be a new invention. Earth 2 hours. With stories and s'mores? Stink asked. And musical board games and everything, said Judy. But no ghosts, said Stink. No ghosts, agreed Grandma Lou. Not even ghost toasties? Judy asked. Well, maybe ghost toasties, said Grandma Lou. Do you swear? Said Stink. On Gert? Judy and Stink put their heads together and whispered. Grandma Lou, said Judy, Stink and I would like to take you to the ghost toasty oath. The ghost toasty oath, huh? Raise your right hand, said Judy. Grandma Lou put down her paddle and raised her right hand. Repeat after us, said Stink. I, Grandma Louise Moody, said Judy. I, Grandma Louise Moody, said Grandma Lou. Do solemnly swear, said Judy. Do solemnly swear, said Grandma Lou, that we will have a fake great big blackout. That we will have a fake great big blackout. The next time Judy and Stink visit, and it will be just as fun as Elmer. And it will be just as fun as Elmer, said Grandma Lou. When we get back to the house, we'll write it down on paper, and you can sign it in blood, said Stink. Will ketchup do? asked Grandma Lou. Stink, she can just spit to make it official. Tell you what, said Grandma Lou, how about a pinky handshake? A three-way pinky hand promise, asked Judy. A triple pinky swear, said Stink. It'll be our very own secret handshake, said Grandma Lou. Each of them stuck out a little finger. The three locked pinkies. Triple dare pinky swear, they said all together. Grandma Lou's eyes danced. That should seal the deal. She gave them one last sideways squeeze before turning the kayak around. Pugsy and I look forward to it. So, Grandma Lou, said Stink, got any plans for next weekend? Stuff to do in a blackout. The end. Oh my gosh, you guys, this was a great story. It was so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, like and subscribe. This was a very long video. We had to do 2 parts to finish this video. It took me like 2 hours to finish reading this book because I'm a slow reader, and because I'm making a video, so it's even slower. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone. Much love.